welcome to the show. I'm joined by maybe a very strange face to a few South Africans. Jada Ketley, welcome to the show. Firstly, welcome to South Africa.
Thank you so much.
Cool. Well, I guess my starting point really is I've been watching on the sidelines. I saw you sneak in here at Apex under Coach Quan. So just kind of give us, I've seen you've been saying online you're transitioning into MMA and obviously in South Africa with the growing ladies divisions, it's quite interesting to see how you're coming here. So just give us a little background as to how you came to South Africa. I know you're a Muay Thai fighter from Australia. The first question is, how did you get to South Africa and what is exactly that you're doing here?
Okay, so I've only been doing Muay Thai for 2.5 years, but my brother was a professional fighter. So when I was 14, my family moved to Thailand, and my brother is friends with Don Match. So they were training partners together at Tiger Muay Thai, two of the first to be sponsored by the gym. Yeah, so just at the start of this year, I decided that I would like to make a transition. I mean, I'd been thinking about it, but I actually saw Mark Hunt come into Binchu Gym, which is where I train in Australia, and he was preparing for a fight. And I watched the way they trained, and I was observing a lot in the mornings, and it just kind of had me thinking, like, you know, I would really like to give MMA a shot. So I spoke to my dad about it, and he recommended that I had reached out to Don. But given like Don just signed his UFC contract, I imagined that his life was going to be really hectic, and I said to my dad, no way would he have time, no way does this guy have time for me. Like, I hadn't seen him since I bumped into him when I was 18 in a market in Thailand, and so I decided anyway just to reach out and ask him about it, and he was so welcoming. He just said, come to South Africa and I've got you sorted. So about 5 months later, I was walking with my dad in a shopping center, and he's like, why don't we just book your ticket, why don't you just go? You'll never know if you don't try it. So we just did, and I came here for 3 months, and I fell in love with the team. I fell in love with training with Richie. I fell in love with Johannesburg. I love Johannesburg. And then I went home for 6 weeks and just packed my things and got rid of everything I didn't need, and I came back.
Okay, that's quite crazy. So how old are you?
I'm 24.
I know it's always rude to ask a lady the age.
No.
I just want to kind of get into perspective. So at 24, you decided to pack your stuff up, move to one of the craziest cities in the world to pursue an MMA dream, and you never had an MMA professional fight? Amateurs?
No.
Okay. So just talk us through that mentally, what that's been like, just to kind of like pack up all your stuff and head to a strange land to start a fighting career in something you've never really done. Obviously, you've done a bit of Muay Thai, as you said. What's that transition been like?
Well, it was really, when I first came here, it was really difficult with doing the jiu-jitsu and wrestling. I was often frustrated, thinking to myself, what am I doing here? This is really difficult. But the whole moving thing, I know in hindsight, like looking at it from an outside perspective, it sounds really scary, and people are like, oh my goodness, you're so brave. But I have moved to another country before. We did move to Thailand when I was 14, so I have had that out of comfort zone experience. But honestly, as cliche as it sounds, it felt like coming home. Like, when I was there, I felt really homesick to be back here. Everyone made me so welcomed. I made such good bonds in just 12 weeks. So there was nothing scary about moving here. I just felt like I was meant to be here.
Okay. And how much did you know about Coach Quan and the team here before you left?
Not much at all. All I knew is that Don is a phenomenal fighter, and I would definitely take his word for it when he said Richie was an amazing coach. I had no doubt about it, and even just my first conversation with Richie over there when the boys were wrestling, I knew that this guy was like a mastermind, that he knew what he was talking about, and yeah, it was the best decision I ever made.
Okay. I just want to look at, you've had a couple of Muay Thai fights, so you mentioned your brother was a professional fighter. Is that the link? Is that how it all started?
So he was 17 when he came across Muay Thai. Actually, a friend of his was showing him capoeira, and then through that he found Muay Thai, and he told my dad that's what he wanted to do. My dad's a black belt 5th dan in Kai Kishin, so he loves martial arts. That's how he met my mom, as an instructor. And so when my brother took that on, I had no interest in it. I didn't watch him fight. I didn't train. Even when we were in Thailand, I saw him fight once, and he had a big cut on his nose. But and I think it scarred me. But he ended up in Thailand because my trainer over in Australia, John Wayne Parry, is a 10-time world champion.
Yeah.
He was on The Contender. So it's like an eliminator show, and he was in the final against Yotson Clyde, who's a very good southpaw. I believe he's signed with one champion at the moment. So he flew out. Richie Quan is also a very good southpaw who he fought about 3 or 4 times, I think it was. And in that time, Nung took a really good liking to my brother.
Okay.
And he said to my parents, look, if you send your son over to Thailand with me, in 2 years I'll bring you back a champion. And my parents have never been the kind of people who would hold us back from opportunities, as that's why I can be here. And so my dad and him went, and after a year there, or about six months to a year, my dad said, look, I think we should move. My brother was located in Ubon, which is very countryside, no Westerners. So we moved to Phuket, and my brother continued fighting in Ubon, and then he came to Phuket, which is how he met Don. Yeah.
Okay. So your family moved for your brother to pursue his
me, my
Muay Thai
mum,
career?
and my dad.
Jeez, that's quite something,
Yeah.
eh?
My parents are super supportive.
We moved the whole family to Thailand to follow Muay Thai. Yeah, jeez, that's crazy, man. So then just talk us through how you got into the Muay Thai. Was it just like a natural progression? Or?
So in 2012, my brother was in a motorbike accident, and he's got a paralyzed right arm, and he had a damaged eye socket.
Okay.
So me and him those things often bring people together, but it kind of, in a way, me and my brother started to there were decisions he made that I didn't agree with, and I handled it in a way that he didn't agree with, and so things got not so great between us. And then at 21, so my brother moved back to Australia with my mum, and at 21 my dad decided I was at an age now where I had to start doing something with myself, and in Thailand there weren't many opportunities other than teaching, and I was doing some modelling, but it wasn't making me very happy. So I moved back to Australia, and at almost 22, I decided that I just wanted to train for fitness. I was doing a little bit of weights and cardio running, but it wasn't keeping me satisfied. It got a bit boring. So I just decided I thought it'd be a great opportunity for some fitness, learn some self-defense, get closer with my brother. He would come in with me every time when I would train, and even with one arm he held the pads. He was great. He's very knowledgeable, so he always could correct my technique. And then after about 3 months, I really wanted to fight, but Wayne's wife, Angela Parr, also a champion in Muay Thai, said you have to train at least 6 months. And about 3 months after that, she lined me up with a fight, but the girl pulled out 2 days prior. And a week later, I was on a plane to Thailand just to go have a holiday, and it turned into a big training frenzy. And I ended up having my first fight, and then my second fight 10 days later, and my life's just been in that direction ever since.
Cool. Thailand style, they just get in and fight.
Yeah, just full Thai rules, no padding, yeah.
Cool. You've obviously mentioned John Wayne Parr and his wife, and I suppose most people that are really interested in combat sports know who they are quite well. He's obviously quite a character in the combat sports industry, and the massively respected Muay Thai fighter. And it seems like in that neck of the woods, he's the guy. So what was it like training under someone like John Wayne Parr, and obviously going forward, those sort of grassroots fundamentals carrying you forward?
So Wayne also still has his own fight career, so a lot of the time he had been in fight prep. But just watching him, one thing that I do love about Wayne is that man loves to fight. There is no, I just want to make money. He just loves to fight. You can just see it. He's still so committed and dedicated to his training. It's really awesome to watch. That guy, if he could fight his way to his, to the end, that guy would be kicking and punching in his deathbed, I promise. He will fight until he can't. That's one thing I really respect about him. Angela's great. She was really good. She's on my back a lot. She won't let me be lazy.
Yeah.
She won't, which was really good. She gave me that push. And then I had my pad holders, Lee and Josh. So they also hold pads with Wayne, and they trained me a lot and taught me a lot of what I know, as well as my brother. So it was really a big team thing that we have there. So I have a mix of, they all taught me something different.
Sure.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Okay. I guess somewhere, I don't know, I don't know if it was online, someone asked you why South Africa out of all places, I mean, obviously there is MMA around you, and it's a massive growing scene. I mean, between Australia and New Zealand, we see guys emerging in the UFC. So obviously there was the connection of Don Madge, but was there ever a moment you thought, okay, look, I could maybe stay closer to home? Like there are other options.
No. Once I was here, I was like, I need to be here. And I get asked all the time by people on social media, why South Africa? It's, out of all places. And I've just narrowed it down to Richie Quan. When people ask me, I say it's easy, Richie Quan. You got to look this guy up, and there's no other explanation other than that. And also the team. If you want to be a savage, you go train with them, and everyone on the team is amazing. We just got crazy athletes. It's insane.
Yeah, sure. It is a massive team, and it's growing, and I think that's the most exciting part. And there's quite a few ladies around here now as well, and high level. I mean, there's jiu-jitsu world champions, yourself with Shay Flismus here now as well. So it's like a growing sort of theme for the ladies, which is quite cool to see as well. And I mean, MMA in the country needs the ladies divisions to grow. So with that in mind, what is your end goal here? Obviously, you want to transition into MMA. We know the groundwork stuff is quite pivotal, and it's, especially if you've not done it. And I know Richie will be very particular about where you are on a level before he lets you fight. So firstly, what is the end goal in South Africa in the transition to MMA? Are you looking to get into the EFC, and what sort of like time frame are you looking at to make that emergence?
So I would like to be fighting professionally by the end of the year. Me and Richie have discussed these things. He has a lot of plans. He's someone that I trust, not just as a coach, but someone who I know will have like my best interest 100%. In what directions I take. So whenever he gives me options, I always just tell him, Richie, you lead the way, and I trust you. Obviously, the end goal for most MMA fighters is the UFC. I would love to be in 3 years in a position where I'm financially able to take care of my parents and giving back to them, because I wouldn't be able to live this life without their support.
Sure.
So definitely UFC is a goal. If I got to go EFC first to get there, or or obviously it always takes steps. But yeah, I would fight in the UFC if the opportunity came about, definitely.
Because that's obviously like the question in my mind naturally is like, are you here transitioning into MMA? Is the first stop going to be EFC? Is that the plan? Or I mean, obviously there's promotions like Invicta, which is a good level into the UFC. So have you thought about the EFC at all, and how much do you know about the promotion?
Well, I didn't know of the EFC until I came to South Africa. And now, since I've obviously trained with a lot of fighters from the EFC, you learn a lot more about it. I would definitely go with them. At one point, I feel like every door that opens is an opportunity to another door that will open. So I would never say no to the idea of it at all.
Okay. And then South Africa, what's it been like, man? It's obviously it's quite a big change. Still, city's a city, I guess, but what's that whole change been like?
So South Africa is very similar to Australia. We have a lot of the same brands. Even just the way the people are. It's not been too much of a culture shock for me at all. And like I said, since I first came here, I just felt like I was supposed to be here. Even when I was 12, before I went to Thailand, I had this thing where I was like, I'm going to live in Cape Town, and Johannesburg isn't Cape Town, but I love it. And the transition's been so easy because these guys that I'm training with have made it so easy. Moving in has been a breeze.
Yeah,
everyone's been so open to helping. It's been great.
Awesome. I just wanted to touch on, we spoke about the transitions into MMA and obviously the jiu-jitsu and the wrestling side. Just how tough has that been for you? And is it frustrating to the point where like your stand-up is of X amount of quality, but on the ground getting frustrated? How's that been for you?
So when I first came, Richie and Don discussed amongst themselves about me having an amateur fight in August at the time.
Okay.
And then sparring day came along, and on my feet I was good, but Muay Thai is very stand still and exchange.
So I was actually going to ask you about that. It was very flat-footed, very stand still.
So
I think Don's a good example because I think in his early MMA career he struggled with very similar things. He was very flat-footed in his approach.
So there was a lot of frustration with everyone just being in and then suddenly being gone. and I'm looking around, and all the angle movements were very new to me, but I don't mind being hit. One thing I have is I don't mind wearing a punch. But as soon as I got taken down to the ground and, you know, Richie and Don were like, okay, we're going to have to reevaluate this. Yeah, she's going to need the ground game. And when I came, I didn't start in the general jiu-jitsu class. I went straight in to the fighters. So it was like 12 weeks.
Straight into the deep
getting,
end,
smacked by like 70 to 85 kilo guys, always sitting in the bathroom thinking, okay, am I out of my mind? Is this insane? But I think it was the best way to learn. I learned so much. When I went back to Australia and I rolled at a jiu-jitsu gym, I rolled with a guy who had 2 stripes on his white belt. He'd been doing it for like 10 months and he just couldn't get a submission on me. He asked me, he said, how long have you been rolling? And I said, just 12 weeks. Yeah. And he was like, no way. And I said, Richie Quan, man, you gotta look this guy up. It was, but now that I'm back and I know that I'm here for a longer period of time, I will be also doing general classes. I live right next door to BK, he's a wrestling champion, so we're gonna be in here doing lots of like one-on-one stuff. I'm really gonna focus on getting a ground game.
So what is that like now? How are you training? Obviously there's the core principle of Muay Thai, which you have that bit of stand-up, but almost like the catch-up in the groundwork, both sides, BJJ and wrestling, then adding in like striking for MMA. So how are you structuring your training now? Is it something completely different where you're trying to focus more on the ground to almost like, I'm saying catch up, but like make up for that lost time?
So definitely I know that even when I'm at home, I'll be like looking at videos of jiu-jitsu on my phone
like
before,
we all do.
Before I just watched Muay Thai. I didn't like jiu-jitsu when I started it. I'm not even gonna lie, I was really frustrated, I didn't like it. Then once things started, your body starts to understand and things click and then suddenly you start to become a little bit like obsessed with it. Same with Muay Thai, I didn't like it and then you become obsessed. So I definitely just have to spend like 80% of my focus on the groundwork. Obviously, wanted to keep my stand-up sharp, working on more movement rather than being such a standstill, Robocop, walk forward kind of fighter. Especially in the little gloves, you can't muck around like that. But no, I'll definitely be doing jiu-jitsu like twice a day at least, and then wrestling a few times. And then just stand up in the mornings with the class when we do the fighters one.
Okay, nice. And then another question I always ask, I mean, obviously like a fighter's life is a hard one. It's not an easy way to make means and make a living, especially at most guys trying to emerge. I can't imagine with someone like yourself who's now trying to transition into MMA. So will you be like working? How will you think? Are you just living almost like a student life transitioning into MMA?
I'll be the first to always admit I'm really privileged in a sense where I have parents that like 100% back my dreams. My mum doesn't love the idea of MMA, the ground and pound and the small gloves is not a thing. My dad was excited. So I'm really blessed in a sense where I have 2 people backing me up, and even just also like the teammates here have been so helpful. I don't have to focus on I don't have like outside things to focus on. All I have to focus on is my fighting and getting better at it. So I'm really lucky like that.
So do those sort of things add like extra pressures on you, knowing, okay, well, like my parents have given me all, you know what I mean? Like I have to make this right, I have to do well, or is it kind of just like it's just the risk you've taken?
My dad's always like, I'm proud of you no matter what, but for me, I always feel like he's given so much, you know, both my parents have given so much for me to have this opportunity, and I want to, you know, be able to give back to them. So before they're too old to enjoy life, I want to be able to send them away on holidays. No, like it definitely keeps me motivated, like the idea of returning to them everything that they've given to me.
That extra bit of push. Awesome, man. That's great to hear. I know sometimes those like it puts you under more pressure, another pump, and like, well, I have to succeed now. But it seems like you're pretty relaxed about it.
No, because they don't put that pressure on me. My dad's just so happy to know that I'm doing something that I love, and because there's always things I've picked up and put down, but fighting I've just stuck with it, and it gets me up at 5:30 in the morning, and I love it. So they're just really happy to see me.
What about like strength and conditioning, stuff like that? Is it something you do a lot of, or is it new to you?
I was doing a little bit of it at home in Australia. Nothing like how I'm doing it here. I get a little bit of anxiety on strength and conditioning days because you know it's always a session where you're like in your head and you've got to be like, okay, I can do this. It was in the beginning. I had a lot of like, this is really difficult. I don't think I can moments. And then when I knew I was coming back, I promised myself it was an opportunity to always have a really positive attitude going into it. So there's been no I can't or anything like that. And I'm always pushing limits I don't think I can push. And Josh is an amazing strength and conditioning coach. I couldn't recommend anyone else.
Fantastic, man. Well, I think that's all I really wanted to know, is just to kind of see who you are, what you're doing here, and what the plan is, man. It's exciting. It's cool to have. There's a bit of like an international flair happening here at Apex, which is quite cool to see. And it's I suppose for guys like Richie and even South African fans, it's quite humbling to see people traveling across the pond to be here with Richie Quan, you know. And I've spoken to a few guys that have made the move here and kind of seen what's going on, and that seems to be the common denominator, is Coach Quan.
Oh, he's amazing.
Yeah,
he's
man.
incredible.
So it's really cool to see that, and it's cool to see the investments into the future of the sport, which is really cool. And yeah, man, I take my hat off to you taking the risks.
Thank you so much.
It's a hell of a thing to do. I don't think I would have done it at 24. I don't think I would have changed the houses at 24. So we wish you all the best, man. I know it's not going to be, realistically, it's not going to be the easiest of things to do, the transition into MMA, and hopefully we get to see you in the EFC at the end of the year. That'll be awesome.
So. Thank you so much.
100%. Thank you so much for your time, man.
Thanks for having me.
Merry Christmas and all the best.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.